strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can't survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you.
Good evening and welcome to Forgotten Warrior. Tonight we're going to do a show about a veteran that's dear to my heart. I've been working with Fred and Paulette for 2 years now, and we have gone through the gamut, the gauntlet, if you will, with the VA. This show tonight is called Our Vietnam Vet Hero Fred. Paulette is here speaking for Fred tonight.
Yes.
And she's been his voice for, you guys have been married almost 43 years, 43 years?
A little over 43 years.
Right. And when Fred came back from Vietnam, he had PTSD.
Yes.
And he's had it ever since.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's lucky to have you. A lot of Vietnam vets are lucky to have the wives that have hung in there. Most of them have left them. And so he's real lucky to have you. You're a real special human being. And I thank you, because since I've known you, I think you're awesome. But this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to explain this story. Now, we want to make sure that this gets to the right people. And so I'm going to address the officers that are going to get this Tuesday morning at the Capitol. And one of the people that we're going to give this to is the Veterans Affairs Committee Legislative Officer, Assembly Member Al Matui, Chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee. Mr. Matui, I sure really hope that you listen to everything here, and I'm going to be giving you documentation, and I hope that you take due process on this, and I hope you take care of this issue, and I hope if you have any influence with the VA that you get this resolved fairly fast. This will go to 60 Minutes and a few other people from our airing on Wednesday coming up. And then also Assembly Member Rocky J. Chavez, Vice Chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee. We understand both you guys are new in your position, and we hope that you're really looking out for veterans. So you'll see me Tuesday morning in your office. Let's get started. In 2009, Paulette called me and told me about Fred having some flashbacks and was not dealing well with his PTSD.
No.
We then did some work with Fred slowly, and over maybe a 6-month period of time, he had a breakdown. And I came in and got him and took him to the VA hospital where we did triage, and that was August 26,
2010.
2010. They did a triage and they evaluated him for extreme PTSD. His blood pressure was through the roof.
220 over 180.
Yeah. And
took him to the emergency room. He couldn't handle anymore.
Right. And so they gave him some pretty strong meds, sleeping pills and psych meds.
Yes.
In February the 23rd of 2011, we took him in for another eval.
VA referred.
VA referred, and that was with a Dr. Christoph, S-I-C-I-A-R-Z, Siraz, I think. Okay. Again, he was having conditions, high blood pressure, and so he would, every time he would go to the doctor, the psych eval, and they started asking questions, stressor questions, he would have a breakdown.
Yes.
Okay. So February 25th.
Couple of days later, he had another psych eval, and this was by psych doctor Kara Cross and Heather Tomolez.
Yes. Okay. Now, there's already 3 evals. All 3 evals, we have the records here, say extreme PTSD, extreme PTSD. Okay?
Correct.
Now,
in May.
In May?
In May, that we got the award letter.
We did get the award letter in May, that's correct.
Right.
And he got a 50%, what was it?
50% PTSD.
50% PTSD.
And 30% diabetes.
30% diabetes.
But they said overall was 60.
Yeah, so they gave him 80 in the diagnosis or in the rating, but they gave him 60 in their wisdom. Woo, I don't understand that either. It was kind of bizarre.
But they dropped
his hearing, which he had already been
Exactly.
being paid.
He had already been getting a 10% for a loss of hearing,
Right.
and that just went to where?
I don't know.
We don't know. It just disappeared. The 10% went bye-bye.
Right.
Nobody knows where it went. Okay. This is why. Now here's where the mistakes and the incompetence starts in this case. Okay. Now,
So
we went back to the evaluation of Dr. Terry Rhodes. Now,
we made a private appointment.
We made a private appointment because he had already he'd got 50%, and
Right.
we both knew he was 100%.
Right.
So we went to a professional psychiatrist that wasn't swayed by the VA.
Right.
And paid some good money.
Right.
He was a P.T.S.D. doctor.
Right.
Did a diagnosis, and the diagnosis was extreme P.T.S.D.
Yes.
Okay. So then we filed an appeal.
Yes.
Correct?
In July.
In July. Now, after we filed that appeal, we filed it with, how did we file the appeal? Remember how we did that?
With a lot of people.
Well, we did a show like this.
Yes.
Okay, and we did a show like this, and we also filed an appeal with your congressman,
Yes.
Mr. McClintock.
Yes.
And Mr. McClintock, you know, your office really did nothing. So I wonder if congressmen do anything for veterans. We really got an issue with that also. Every congressman that's done any work for my veterans in this Sacramento community hasn't done a thing, okay? And every time I call somebody, even Matt Suey's office, I get lip service. I don't get any help from my veterans. So maybe something will be different Tuesday morning at the Capitol, because I'll be knocking on every door of all the assemblymen and all the congressmen. We're going to look for somebody over there that's going to help us. So we'll cross our fingers. Maybe we'll find one honest politician. I don't know. Here we go. So now we start trying to put everything together, right? Why we say, well, this doesn't make sense. He's 100%. He's been diagnosed 4 times now, and he's still got 50%. And then they make this mistake of leaving off the 10% on the hearing.
Yes.
So now they start telling you they're working on the case, right?
Right.
And time just keeps going by.
Right.
So almost a year later, right? Pretty much a year down the road, after we filed the complaint to the President of the United States, we sent this CD to the President of the United States asking him to do something. In his wisdom, he sent it to the treasurer of the Veterans Affair, Mr. Suniski, Vietnam vet. In his wisdom, he sent it back to the same people that
in Oakland
that weren't helping us.
Right.
Pretty good, huh? I think they call that the fox watching the hen house or something like that. So what we came up with now in the process, because you've been real diligent finding stuff, and I kept telling you I need more document. We got to find his paperwork, and we got to make sure the VA has
records.
everything.
Yeah.
So I love your story. And we'll get to this, but you went to I remember we wanted to get more, find out what was in the records, because they kept saying they didn't have Terry Rhodes' thing, right? So we had to make sure that got into the records.
Right.
Even though we did put it in.
Right.
Okay. So we did it again, and what did you find once you got in there?
Well, I asked for his mental health records and all the notes, and his evaluation on February 23rd and February 25th were not in there. So they just had the one eval. And so I asked for copies and for this to be brought forward for his record. So I asked for copies of those 2 in the mental health, and I got home and was reviewing them, and I found that the one eval that's on February 25th that they gave me with his name and social at the top, when I'm reading through it, I find that it's another veteran.
With their Social Security.
And I have their Social Security number and the case number and all of his medical issues.
Yeah.
And I went back to the records department and told them that this is wrong.
Right.
They apologized, and it looked like they were fumbling, so I said, if you can get the record to me as soon as you can, call me. And they did. It took them about an hour and a half.
Did they try to recover this?
Yes.
I bet they did.
Yeah, they took back, but I had ran a copy in the meantime because it's a mistake. It's one of the another mistakes.
Well, this is one of many mistakes that we came across. Now, this is a pretty serious mistake by the VA to send you
someone else's name with their social security number, and yeah.
His medical information.
And his medical information. And I run a nonprofit, a small nonprofit, and I have to abide by the HIPAA laws that everyone else does. Now, if I would have done this, I would have been shut down. They would have, Attorney General's office would have me shut down in a second. But the VA, in their wisdom, can get away with this kind of stuff. I don't know how.
That department told me they'd be contacting the patient safety and officer.
Yeah, I bet. What they meant to say is they're going to get a hold of their own attorney and make sure they cover their tailbone. Yeah, that's what that's really going to happen. But this isn't over with yet, because we're gonna really, there's gonna be some other things that are gonna happen because of this violation, not only of the HIPAA, but there's other violations that we're finding out here. So we're trying to get this to you Veterans Affairs gentlemen, and hopefully you can get something done here and get this squared away before we have to take this to higher authority. The mistake too, the number 2 mistake was she's got a paper here at work here saying that he was granted 10%. For loss of hearing. Where did it go? After we filed our appeal, the appeal came back, denied, and then there was no 10% on the hearing.
No.
And so it's like, well, where did it go? So we have incompetence here. It's grave incompetence. It's just unfathomable that they could have somebody handling our veterans' cases that can't not do simple math and read. They're giving other people's document names and social away. They're taking off already rated ratings. Well, this is an income. Now, when he started, he was getting $100 a month. He's still not getting what he should be getting.
Right.
But this is really not okay. And then, there was a thing that they sent in that, and I like to read everything over and over and over, and I'm going to read this. Now, I did some research on my own on all the this is data that I got, and this is about who does how many. We have 53 data information centers in the United States, VA data, where you can go in and apply for your benefits. Okay. Now, I want to say that that we did again. I want to rephrase this: that we started in Oakland and got nothing but mistakes and 2 years of waiting for things. A lot of it was waiting. Now, would you say that the waiting caused Fred a lot? I think just not knowing.
Oh, yes.
I remember him telling me.
He keeps telling me, just give up. Just don't do anything.
Yeah. And that's what the VA wants a lot of these veterans to do. And a lot of these veterans have given up. And guess what? We're feeding them out in the streets, the homeless veterans, It's not right. I just met a Vietnam vet the other day. He's been in the streets 10 years. 10 years. So we started in Oakland, went to our congressman, went to the President of the United States, that went to the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, that went to, and then we sent it to a conglomerate of people, remember? I think we sent it to about 15 people in the VA system, hoping that one person would grab it and do something with it. And every one of these high-paid, 6-figure paid officials in the VA sent it right back to where the problem was. Now, because it came from the chiefs, the bosses, they decided in their wisdom in Oakland, they need another evaluation.
Yes.
After 4 evaluations with extreme PTSD, they decided in their wisdom that let's stress this guy out another time. We'll pay that, and we've come to a conclusion that was deliberate indifference to his medical needs. If this was a personal case in the streets, if this was an attorney doing this to him or a doctor doing it to him in the streets, this would be a case for the Americans with Disability Act. It would be a lawsuit. One of the things that they said that was quite interesting in this letter was, in an effort to expedite the resolution of your NOD, your claim, file was transferred to Waco, Texas Regional Office for Development and Review Actions. Remember, they said in an effort to expedite. Now, I said to myself, that don't make no sense. Texas is a long ways from here. So what, they got something special in Texas? Well, I don't know, y'all. I don't think so, because I did some stats. Right now, in the whole nation, we got 817
128,123 vets awaiting an answer from the VA for claims. The growth of the claims that are finished, their percentage right now is 6.9%. If you're in a big city, your average waiting time in a little city varies, but the average time in statistics that we're going through with the combination of all the cities is 273 days. Vets waiting for benefits after 125 days is 583,825. But what's interesting is this Waco, Texas place, right, that they're talking about, that they're trying to expedite everything to. Well, guess what? It's one of the largest intakes. Texas has got two big circles here, right there. These big circles, California, LA, Sacramento, Texas, Florida, those are the largest. They have more benefits done. So we looked on the statistics. Waco, Texas has 45,520 benefits. Completed claims in 1 year time is 3,129. Not a pretty good rate. Not a very good rate. So, you know, I don't believe them. I'm sorry. Now we've got Oakland, California. Claims are 30,569. They do 1,410 claims in 1 year. Wow. Not much of a difference, is there? 3,000 to 4,000. Or I'm sorry, 3,000 to 1,000. So Waco, Texas is doing 3 times more than Oakland. So I don't know what they're doing about expedition. So I'm having a hard time believing that this letter that they wrote to these people, to Miss Thomason and Fred, would just not lie. And I think the VA has been doing too much lying. It's time to get serious about who's doing these claims. We need to get some claim people that that have integrity and care about our veterans. I've been working with this nonprofit for 5 years, and I have seen nothing that I'm not proud about what I've seen through the VA. The VA is not taking care of our veterans. In fact, the VA is lying to the public. The VA is not taking care of our veterans, not in benefits. If a man is suffering from PTSD and he needs money to pay his bills, do you wait till he loses his home and is homeless before you give him a check? This man went through 4 evaluations and was determined extreme P.T.S.D. He has Agent Orange, diabetes. Mm-hmm. He has a loss of hearing. He was shot down twice in Vietnam. And these guys, in their wisdom, oh, and at the end of the letter, after they're saying, screw you, you're not going to get the benefits, we are grateful for your honorable service for our country. If you're grateful, give him his check. I'd be grateful, huh? Mm-hmm. Something he earned. This man was shot down twice.
During the Tet offensive.
Tet, yeah. I'm ashamed of the VA. I am ashamed of the VA. I cannot believe these people say they help veterans. Now, I'm not saying that, again, there are good people that work at the VA. Mm-hmm. There are excellent people that work at the VA. Mather is an awesome place, huh?
Yes.
And there's been some people that really helped us out over there.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're not pointing our fingers at Mather Hospital. Yay, Mather.
Yes.
Hospital.
Yes.
But we are saying shame on you, Oakland, California. We're saying shame on you, VA. We're saying shame on you, veterans that run this. You know, the Vietnam veteran that is the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and he just passed the buck. That's a politician. So, Assembly Member Al Masui, you'll see me Tuesday morning. Well, actually, you'll probably see me Thursday morning because I want this to air on Wednesday. Then you'll see me after this airs. Now we're going to ask everybody to call these people after this airs Wednesday night. When you see this story, I'm asking you to call these people. I want you to call your congressman. I want you to call your assembly member. I want you to call anybody at the Capitol that will listen to you and say, take care of Fred Thomason, our veteran, our war hero veteran. They're going to know his name. You want to help a veteran? This is the time. Call. And you can call the Assembly member Al Matsui and Assembly member Rocky J. Chavez. I'm sure they'll be glad to see me on Thursday, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, you're veterans. You represent the veterans. Let's get this done. Let's take care of this. You veterans out there, you want to help another veteran? Get on your phone. Call your congressman. Call the Assembly member. Call Matsui's office. Call these men. It's time to get busy. Now we're going to put on this show numbers to call at the bottom, or the people to call at the Capitol. We really need to get this done right. It's about time. It's 2 years we've been fighting this battle. Mm-hmm. You know, the Veterans Administration has been paying benefits for veterans since the Civil War. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. And I think they still got some of the same people running the program. Because it's outdated. We need to get with the program. If you could say anything to the Veterans Administration, Paulette, if you could say something to them, if you could say, hey, what you feel, what you've experienced, because you're experiencing this also. It's not just Fred.
Right.
And you see Fred, he goes through some really hard times, especially when we do the paperwork, we send it in. Tonight, he's sitting out in the car, right?
Right.
With your
My grandson.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Only because we have had my grandson move in with us so that he can sit with Freddie.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say to these officials that we're going to take this to?
I would say that if I had this paperwork in front of me saying that somebody was this ill and suffering this much, why put him through more and more evaluations? That's what I would say. It's sad that we make him go through all this.
Well, more and more suffering.
Yes.
Because they know every time he does an evaluation that he has a breakdown.
Yes. Not only does he have a breakdown, his blood pressure, and then it affects his health.
And he ends up in emergency.
Yes.
So would you say that this is deliberate indifference to his medical needs?
It feels like it.
Sure.
It feels like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for helping me.
No sweat. You guys are awesome. This is what we do, and this is, I really feel it from my heart that there are people that need this, and Fred is super. He's a super guy. I love him.
Yes.
He's a great guy. He doesn't deserve this.
No.
This guy is a guy that's been shot down twice in Vietnam and refused to take a Purple Heart because he lost men in combat.
Yes.
That's the kind of guy Fred is. So I'm going to ask you one more time. I'm going to give a plead here. I want you to call your congressman. We're going to have the names of people, assembly members, the veterans assembly members. I'm going to say their name one more time. It's Al Matsui. It's M-U-R-A-T-S-U-C-H-I. He's the chair of Assembly Veterans Affairs Committee. He's the chair. He's the bigwig here at the state, at the Capitol. I'm going to talk to Ken Cooley too. Ken's great. Ken's been probably more helpful than anybody else over there at the Capitol. Shout out for Ken. Ken really helps out our vets and our nonprofit. He's a good guy. He'll get this also. I'm sure Ken will do something if nobody else does. And then we want to make sure that you guys get this to the Assembly member Rocky J. Chavez. He's the vice chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee. Okay, so we're going to start with these guys. We're going to use the what do they call that? Chain of command. So we're going to go to you guys tomorrow or Thursday morning. Somebody's probably going to be calling your office Thursday morning because everybody's going to be viewing the show on Wednesday night. We're asking you guys to call. Call these assembly members. Call your congressman, and we'll get something rolling here. It's time to take care of this veteran. And we've got everything here ready to present.
We're going to give him this CD, this show, and we're going to give him all these documents that says mistake, 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 mistake. And it's not, and how many times does he have to be evaluated, Paulette? 4 times? Each time he's been evaluated, he's been diagnosed with extreme PTSD, diabetes, loss of hearing. Now, if they would have added the loss of hearing, the 10%, if they would have kept the 70 and add the 10, he would have been at an 80.
Right.
I guess they just don't want to give these veterans 100%. They don't want to give them the money. They don't want to give them what they're worth.
But now his hearing is worse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and his diabetes is worse.
Yes.
Because it's 2 years. All right. Give your congressman, give your assembly members a call. If you know anyone that needs help like this, call us, Forgotten Warrior. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Paulette.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. God bless America, and God bless our veterans. Good night.
Think twice.